Hey guys, it's the JasMan, and I'm just going to make a quick tutorial video to show you how to use Brimstone and Sunburst to turn most enemies, but particularly tier 1 enemies, into orbs. We'll start with a loadout that I'd recommend for this configuration, but primarily you're going to need Brimstone and Sunburst. I know that Flame Shield also has an excellent potential across both PvE and PvP, but for this setup you're going to need Brimstone. Another necessity is the Sunburst perk, which unfortunately means you'll have to forego both Radiant Will and Viking Funeral. But since the orb potential increases greatly from Sunburst, going with a longer radiance duration and increased damage shouldn't matter all that much. That's all you'll need to get started. The choice of grenade, super ability and final tree is all up to you, but I'd strongly recommend against self-res as it drains your super much more quickly. Use something like Radiant Skin if you're playing solo, or Song of Flame if you're in a fire team. I tend to use solo grenades and Touch of Flame, but any of the grenades are fine. Now for the armor. I found I had the most success with Praxic Fire, as the cooldown speeds it provides allow for your melee to nearly charge as fast as you can use it, meaning you can maximize your orbs while in Radiance. Other armor pieces such as Claws of Ahamkara or Light Beyond Nemesis are also decent, but for all around play I liked Praxic Fire. As for the Intellect, Discipline and Strength configuration, I particularly liked the 1-5-5 setup, as you'll be wanting to have your melee charged as fast as possible as often as possible. You don't especially need a max Discipline build, but it allowed me to throw grenades to weaken any major enemies, which then allowed me to sunburst the enemy for maximum orbs. I ran Bad Juju to counteract the low intellect stat, which seemed to work fine. Now if you really want to max out your orb potential, you'll need to find an artifact that provides orbs from solar melee attacks, although it's only a chance to proc. That's all you'll need to start making an orb train, so let's look at the places where it's useful. Obviously any year 1 level content is going to be excellent regardless of the modifiers, but in particular, the heroic strikes this week have solar burn, which means that nearly every tier 1 enemy, ranging from Thralls, Acolytes, Scions, Legionaries, Phalanxes, Goblins, Hobgoblins, Dregs, Vandals and all their taken counterparts, are going to die in one Scourge melee, at the very least if Radiance is active. Some enemies won't die in one hit without Radiance, but tier 1 Hive, Fallen and Scions will die regardless of Radiance. It's obviously best if the enemies are close together, as to hopefully get a multi-kill with Brimstone and create multiple orbs, but this isn't always feasible or even possible. Outside of heroic strikes, the Sunburst setup works at times in the raid, given that at the very least Thralls show up in all encounters, but unless you're extremely comfortable in the raid, I'd recommend going with Flame Shield. As for the challenge mode Prison of Elders, modifiers such as Brawler or Airborne are going to make this setup much more viable, particularly in the melee kills grant bonus points week, or super kills grant bonus points week, as the orbs you produce will help charge your teammates' supers. This week the modifiers are Brawler and super kills grant more points, a perfect match for this setup. As for Crucible, this is again quite situational. If you can kill an enemy with a Sunburst melee, it will create an orb which can be incredibly useful for your team, or if you're in Radiance, you'll create 2 orbs per melee kill. Plus if you're in Radiance, Scorch will one-shot regular Gardens if your melee is charged, which shouldn't be a problem with Brimstone given its fast cooldown time. If you're able to use this correctly, it can turn a game of Crucible around. I'll finish up by saying that this setup is not going to work for every activity. While it can work in most places, it benefits greatly from modifiers that increase your melee damage output. Also for tough activities, you're definitely going to be better off with a Flame Shield build. Thanks for watching guys. If you like this sort of thing, feel free to subscribe. Catch you later.